So this link here, let's
Grammarly is an AI writing partner that we're
share my screen here.
seamlessly with your everyday apps and helps professionals write better and faster so they can get all of their work.
So this is one of his TED Talks.
Yep, my interest.
And he does stuff like this. So it's photorealism mixed with a surreal element where clearly we know that someone's hands did not break like they were made out of plaster, but it's done in such a way that it's very, very believable. And his big shtick is making the viewer question what is real versus what is fake. Everybody knows that they're looking at a piece of Photoshop, no doubt. But what interests him is how well he can do it and how well he can, I always say hide your tracks, but just cover up the seams in between things to make for a very, very believable composite. Let's see. Images like this. And he does it really well. Is he lighting the world on fire conceptually? No, I don't think so. And I don't think he would probably say that he was. But as far as what he does, he's very good at it. But he has 3 rules, and I couldn't agree more. I'm glad that he put it very succinctly. Clearly, it's something that he's done a lot of and he's thought about it. But there are really kind of 3 rules that he follows to make composites this believable. So give it a watch. It's 6 minutes long. He's fairly entertaining. And he gets to it, at some point, and then he just kind of gets right into it. But he also does a good job of like explaining process. So let's see. This is the final, speaking of roads, right? So it looks like, he's stretching a road out. Clearly, he's never done that. That's not real. But what was real? What are the different pieces that went into this to make this thing as good as it is? And if you back up a little bit, he'll show the separate images and kind of how it came together. So take a look at that. It's pretty interesting, and it's definitely within our wheelhouse as far as Photoshop goes. It's a good watch, but I don't want to waste everyone's time doing it in class. Just watch it. And there probably will be a little quiz-ish thing coming up. But you're looking for the three things that he's looking for when it comes to things that he needs to think about before he gets into a photo shoot. All right. So that takes care of that. Oh, you've seen this before? Seen his work before? All right, so we're going to do a few kind of like odds and ends when it comes to restoration. I know that there was a liquefy question, so let's start there. I've linked to these. It's at the top of the chat. It's also in the agenda. It's 3 YouTubers. 2 of them are actually the same guy. So you can watch these on your own time. I've given you the demo files. These are right here. And since we're recording, I want to say it one more time. Remember, the link to the poster is here. Don't submit your stuff to Blackboard. It might not let you. So use this link, make a folder, call it your last name _ first name. Put your 2 documents in there. The one should be a process document with your mock-up, your sketches, mood boards, before, during, and afters. The other one needs to be a layered PSD file. Oh yeah, one thing I did want to do, let's go through one more time how to do a mock-up. These demos are not homework. Now, if your homework is to finish your poster, we're just going to do it to say that we covered it. So they are located here in your I posted some new stuff in the resources. There's a Sea of Thieves PDF. We'll talk about this Wednesday and next week, but you might want to take a look at this. I found this free. It's like 200 pages long. It's really good. But what are we looking for? Text tutorials? No. Text tutorials, I've been putting stuff from 21 Draw in. There's a pretty good one on Photoshop brush tools explained. But demo files, here we go. We've got red skin, red eye, and whitened teeth. And they're all very, very similar. Let's start with the very easiest one. We're going to start with the red eye. So I'm going to download this. Maybe I need to see it from the student side, or maybe it's in my download still. Let's see. All right, enough of you. Perfect. Before I get to this, let's real quick go through that mock-up one more time. Let's see if I still got that downloaded. Downloads. I deleted a bunch of stuff the other day. Yeah, figures. No problem. I'll download it real quick. So this is in your project 2. And someone asked earlier, can we use our own? Yes, you can. Just make sure that it is appropriate. Okay, should be downloaded. Let's open it up. And I'll just use this as my poster. So Control O, downloads. There we go. The trick to this is, remember, you just double click on the smart object layer. This is your design here. Double click. Now I need something in here. So your poster will get inserted in here. Really, the easiest way to insert your poster would be to go to the file place. Embedded or linked. If you know it's done, you can choose embedded. If you're still working on it, choose linked. Red eye. Hit enter. You have to save it. So Control or Command S, Control or Command W, and there you go. So this is your mock-up. And we've done it 3 times, so hopefully that's not completely blowing anyone's mind, but it does need to be present in your process document, so make sure that you do that. And if you want to use the file that I gave you, please do. All right, red eye. This is an easy one. I would always encourage you to duplicate the layer because what you're about to do is destructive. Now, I highly doubt anybody would come back and be like, I wanted the red eye in there, but you just never know. People are weird. So duplicate the layer. Your tool is aptly named the red eye tool. Pretty good name for it. It's underneath your healing brush because all of these healing and restoration tools are kind of nestled together. It's nice. So let's find our healing brush for starters. That should be J. There it is. And if I click and hold the red eye tool, this is the only thing that this is for. Like you won't use this for anything else. And it's pretty straightforward, folks. You only got 2 sliders, the pupil size and the darken amount. By default, these are set to 50. 50 works just fine. So how does it work? Just take your cursor, get close to where the red eye is and click once. Boom. Boom. You're done. Not bad, right? Pretty easy. That's it. We'll never talk about that tool ever again. But if it comes up, now you know where it is, how it works. The other 2 procedures are very similar, very, very similar, but they do target something a little different. And it's really just the color is what it is. So I'm going to start with the teeth. So these have been done. This PSD is, I did it for you. Before, after. Lots of coffee, never had a cup of coffee. So how do we go from this to this? You're going to use adjustment layers, and be it getting redness out of skin or yellow out of teeth, or really any color cast out of anything, you're going to use a hue saturation adjustment layer. So let me move some stuff around so we can see this a bit better. All right, I'm just going to turn this layer off and just work with the background layer. Now, I don't need to duplicate this layer because I'm using adjustment layers. So it's not destroying, it's not altering the pixels in any way. It's just, it's on its own layer. So if you don't like it, turn it off. The real question becomes, how do we target a specific, well, color cast? So we're going to make a new adjustment layer, and it is hue saturation. We've talked about hue saturation a few times now. It shouldn't be completely mind-boggling that if I wanted a black and white layer, I could just take the saturation down all the way. Not what I want, but if I wanted black and white, boom, there you go. Be a little bit careful with lightness because it will make things dark or light, which can be handy, but you don't usually see that. And then hue, if you spin the hue slider, everything will change based off of what color it was versus what color it's going to. Okay, so now we got a little understanding of that. Here's what we're going to do. I want to grab this yellow, but I don't really know what yellow this is. You do have different color channels in here, so you can say, well, I think it's yellow, and you'd be right. But we're asking Photoshop to select a color range for us. So what I think is yellow versus what Photoshop thinks is yellow could be two different things. So I want to get it right. That's where this little hand tool comes in right here. If you click on this hand tool, what you can do is you can hover your, now it's a color picker, and it's asking, okay, well, what are you trying to target? So I'm just going to grab kind of this yellow. I don't want to hit the white. The highlight in the teeth will throw it off. I'm just going to kind of come here to like one of the darker yellow colors and click it. Now, you'll know that you've made a selection if this little color ramp slider appears. Before I had a color picked, this was kind of ghosted out. But now that I've specified that yellow, you can see that Photoshop is saying, oh, you wanted that kind of yellow. And that's what I want. But we're going to really make sure that we've got not just that yellow, but a good mix of yellows. So here's how this wants to work. We're going to pull the hue all the way in one direction. It's going to look weird, but trust me, there's a reason for it. We're also going to pull the saturation all the way up. Again, it's going to make it look weird. So take the hue, pull it all the way. Take the saturation, pull it all the way. Now it's pretty horrific, but we need this in order to really see where our colors are being selected from. The next step is down here in the actual color ramp itself. So what you can do is you can set a threshold. Like it's getting the teeth, but it's also getting a lot of the skin too, which we don't necessarily want. And I kind of want to soften the edges on the teeth a bit. So what you can do is you can take this slider here and think of the end caps as decay. I know we're looking at teeth and you might think like tooth decay. No, I'm talking about like fall off of a color where purple turns into blue and blue turns into green. That's your decay, like how things drift and dissipate into other colors. So you can grab these corner widgets here, click, hold, and drag, and start to pull these down. You can say, all right, I don't need as much yellow as you think I need. Somewhere around here looks a little bit better. Cut that down a bit. You can do the same thing on the other side, the right-hand side. I'm just going to pull that all the way in. Now, that one, I can pull all the way in and really nothing happens. So really just trying to like dial in a certain amount of just those teeth. I can even close down the threshold, the two little gaps in the middle there. I can click, hold, and drag, and can open those up. And that's kind of where I was looking for. Somewhere right around in there, I'll kind of fine tune this. And I think the one on the right, I can really just kind of bring in right about there. Now I need to open it up just a little bit more. And guys, don't think that this is absolutely precise. It's okay because you're going to have a mask anyway. So there's a lot you can still do. So if yours doesn't look just like mine and you're like, oh, what number are you at? 35 degrees, 54 degrees? Just ballpark it. It's fine. It's very, very flexible. It's very forgiving. You scooch this over to the left a little bit more. Close that down. So this is kind of where mine's at right now. The idea here is once I get a good threshold that I'm comfortable with, I'm going to bring my saturation back down to 0. I'm going to bring my hue back down to 0. And those colors will be the only ones really kind of targeted. Yes, this is exactly what it looks like. If you're going for like the Predator's heat-seeking vision, you're getting kind of close here. But I've got the teeth targeted. So let's bring Saturation back down to what it was, which is 0. The hue back down to what it was, which is 0. And here's those teeth. Now, as I make my color adjustments, it's only going to remember those targeted areas. So it's kind of like, I don't want to say a mask within a mask because that's a bit misleading, but it's only affecting those colors. So my purples are safe. My greens are safe. My other colors should be reasonably safe. That said, when I do this, and especially when we do the skin tone right after this, you will affect places that you don't want. That's what your mask is for. So check this out. My teeth are a little bit yellow. Okay, well, if I take my hue slider now, and actually I'm going to start with the saturation. Let's just take the saturation of the yellow down some. I'll pull it all the way down. It's not bad, but they look a little gray. So that went a little bit too far. So I'm gonna pull that up. You know, a little bit of yellow is to be expected. We just want to tone it down some. So I'm at about a -55. That looks pretty decent. It would be nice if they were a little bit brighter. I don't want to go crazy here, but if I just take the lightness and I kick that up a little bit, you know, like don't want that, but this doesn't look too bad. And then I can turn off and on, before, after. All right. So it's working pretty well. You can see that I probably need to go back in here because I'm not getting all of the top of the tooth. So that's when I'm going to start to fiddle with these sliders here. All right. So I just had to open it up a little bit more. Problem is a lot of the skin came with it. It's no big deal. Here's where the mask comes in. So right now I could just flip the mask around. Oh, it's actually in the gums a little bit. I don't like that. So we affect this. It's in the yellows. That looks better. That looks a lot better. Actually, that might have fixed most of it. But I'm going to, let's see, it might be easier this way. Before, after, I lost some of the skin on the left and the right side. It looks like there's a little bit of like foundation, it's powder on there. So I'll just grab a big black brush, B for brush, make sure it's big. I don't want this brush. Get a nice soft edge brush. Do I not have my legacy brushes still loaded? This will be fine. And I'm just going to paint in the stuff that I lost. This is not the best brush for this, by the way. Shouldn't be using this, but it should be work okay. All right. So with no further ado, yellow teeth, white teeth. So we just took this image to the dentist, got a nice cleaning in, looks a lot better. I still think there's a little bit of red on the top of the tooth, so grab this, go back to my yellow. Now we just have to mess with these thresholds. There we go. That's better. Looking pretty good. That's how you whiten teeth. That's one way to whiten teeth. Makes sense? Anybody confused? We're going to do pretty much the exact same technique with skin, only this time we won't target yellows. We're going to target reds, and we kind of do the same thing. Thing about skin, though, you don't want to desaturate. You don't want to make the person look like a corpse. That would be worse. So what you'll do is you're going to push your hue slider more into yellow. But enough of me talking about it. Let's just do it. All right. So before, after. Just a little bit of rosacea, a little bit of, you know, could be too much sun. Who knows? Just like a little bit of blotchiness of the skin. Not a big deal. But if it was going to print, we would probably want to tone that down a little bit. So same thing here. You've got your layer here. You're going to add a new adjustment layer. It is hue saturation. We're going to target the reds, or just grab our finger icon here. I'm going to change my point sample. This is something that the YouTuber talks about. If you do point sample, here's what's happening. Let me zoom in. We're going to zoom into the pixel level. If you do point sample, it's grabbing this particular red, which is, I guess, technically more of a pink, but it's just grabbing that one pink. That's probably not going to be the best for us. So change your point sample to an average. So 3x3 will take 3 pixels up, down, left, right, and it will average those colors out. You get more colors with a 5x5, more with 11x11, and so forth. Generally speaking, just generally speaking, 5x5 is just fine. That's a good enough sample size to say, all right, these are the reds that I'm kind of looking for. We're going to change that to a 5x5, zoom back out, and you only see that with the selection tool. And I'm going to get one of the deeper reds here. So pop, you can see that it has now unlocked this little hue ramp here, and really going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to push that hue up. I'm going to push the saturation up, and then start to mess with these sliders, kind of cut out the stuff that I don't want to see. Might be a bit too narrow. So let me open that up just a little bit. Now those end caps, that's going to be my decay, my fall off. So I'm just going to open those up to smooth that out some. Looks okay. I think it's going to look okay. Don't really know just yet. So let's try this. Let's bring our hue back down to 0. Saturation back down to 0. Now in this case, I'm going to take just a little bit of saturation out. I'm going to pull just a little teeny color out. Not much. Not nearly as much as the teeth. Just tone that down. Here's what it would look like if you went nuts with it. You know, I don't think that looks any better at all. In fact, it looks weird. So I'll just kind of go down to like a -5 and then push your hue slider towards more of a yellow, and then you can start to desaturate as you see fit. Now I might need another adjustment layer for this part of the cheek right here. That's a little deeper red, so I didn't grab that. So I probably want to redo that, but this one's looking pretty good. Problem with this is the skin looks a lot better. Maybe even a little bit too yellow, actually. Let's back that off a bit. Better. Probably even lighten it up just a little bit. Before, after, really calm that down. My biggest issue is the lips. The lips are very pink, rightfully so, but now they are getting their color loss. So on that adjustment layer, just like I did last time, let's get my brush, soft edge black brush, and paint those lips back in. So with a very little legwork, I have done a pretty good job taking some of the intensity of the red in the skin down. I would want to do another pass to be sure, but this is off to a good start. And that's it. So now you know all the tricks and all the tips to make headshots look a little bit better, a little bit more processed. Let's end with clipping mask. I'm going to take attendance, and then that will be that. So we've got a clipping mask demo in your demo files. Right here. So this is already set up for you. And what I'm going to do is just show you how to apply a clipping mask one more time and how to release it. I've actually got a few clipping masks going on here. I've got one, or this might be a type container. I can't remember. Let's find out. In the working folder, turn off the top layer. Yeah, so check this out. Let's turn this hue saturation off. This is what's giving it that sepia tone effect. But you can see that in the typography, there's an image. There's a city skyline. So how was this done? Here's the skyline copy, and you see it's got that little icon that's like drop down. That's your clipping mask. So if you right click on it and choose release clipping mask, that's what the image is. But I want just to see that image based off of the layer underneath its opacity, transparency. So all you need to do is make sure that what you want visible sits literally one layer on top, right click on it and choose create clipping mask. Boom. Now it's held inside of that type, or it could be anything. It could be a shape, could be a person. Here, I'll do the same thing on, duplicate that. Let's put, all right, so here's the girl, one of the girls. Maybe I want that graphic. Let's release this clipping mask. Maybe I want that graphic on her. So it's sitting right on top of her layer. There she is right there. Turn this on, right click, create clipping mask, and then boom. So now the image is inside of that shape that's her. So that's clipping masks. Very useful. Some of you are using them. Not everyone will. It's not mandatory, but that's one thing that I want to make sure that everyone knows how to do before you get out of this class. All right, let's see who's here. Actually, probably, I think a mid critique probably did it. Let's see if there's anybody that didn't present but still needs attendance points. Attendance, 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 attendance. Ben went, Michelle went, Candy went, Quinn went, Tanner went, Sandra went, Leslie went, Carmen went, Adeline went, China, Slate, Jason, get out of here. Range, Tom. I'm going to stop sharing. See it. Natalie. All right, cool. All right, attendance is done. Folks, we are done for the night. We got through everything that we needed to get through. Let me double check one last time. Holy smokes, we got a big chat pod. Okay. Yeah. That was it. We got about 20 minutes left. You're more than welcome to stick around. I wish I would have